You are likely here because you are struggling to make a Wizard 101 pet. Well, struggle no more, my fellow wizheads. Today I am going to teach you the basic mechanics that will get you on your way to having an OP pet. For some reason King Seal decided to make their entire game easy as fuck except for the pet system. This system is so fucked that you'll be hatching 15 times only to fail at mega with something you've never seen before, which could never be useful ever. Unfortunately, with the most recent update, King Seal decided to make pet training harder. But fear not, comrades. I have trained many pets in my life and I am ready to part my knowledge onto you. First, let's get to the basic. In order to create a pet that is useful to you, you will need to be clear on a couple of things. Like which school you are and how you play that school and whether you want to use your pet for PvP or not. If you are an ice wizard who only supports and tanks with a quad triple maycast pet, you're just a fucking retard. Whereas if you are a storm wizard with a triple damage double critical pet and you only PvE, you would be considered overpowered in that regard. A lot of new players fail to understand that pets are what make or break your stats. You can go from being LVL 30 with 30 damage to LVL 30 with 61 damage with just your pet and a few nice gear pieces. The first thing you must do when making your pet is having a plentiful source of mega snacks. Without mega snacks it will take you years to get your pet to mega or ultra, and unfortunately the only good way to get mega snacks is locked behind a giant paywall. Gardening is the only way to ensure that you have mega snacks. Specifically evil magma peas and couch potatoes, both of these are farmable, but they will take you a very long to get a hold of a full garden. Without these, you will struggle to even train your pet to adult should you try. Once you have your snacks and you're prepared to begin a long journey of rage and frustration at the sight of maycast sprite, you will need to do two things. First, you will need to obtain what is considered a base pet. A piggle serves really well for this because its base talents aren't sticky, which I will talk about soon. You can really use any pet for this as long as it is adult, but I highly recommend buying a piggle from the pet shop and training it to adult. Next, you will need to find a pet that you want to recreate. For this you need to consider a couple different things. Firstly, which pet you actually want. A lot of pets are useless in the fact that the card they give is not useful at all. If you are a life, for example, a lively opossum gives a life blade, and a balance blade and pierce blade. Each of these can be very useful. One pet I will always recommend for PvP or PvE is the enchanted armament. The card it gives is a sharpened blade which stacks with the regular version. Once you have chosen a pet, you will then need to look at the individual stats. Strength and power are the most important stats and should always be above 250. Anything below that and you will lose out on stats. This is the reason you see many pets with good talents, but the numbers low. Your pet has anything below 225 strength, you can no longer get the most damage and resistance and will have to use a lower version. The ideal pet will have all stats above 250, except for intellect. Majority of the time intellect does not matter. Once you know what stats you're looking for and what pet you want, you will need to search for the talents you want. If you know what talents you want, then good for you. If you don't know what to look for, a good middle ground is triple damage and double resistance. If you are a storm wizard, the talents you will look for is Fire Giver, Fire Dealer, Pain Giver, Spell Proof, and Spell Defy. This set of talents will give you the most out of your pet and will serve almost every wizard very well. Now, here comes the extremely fucking retarded part. You will need to hatch at least 5 times to make sure you have copied the talents from the pet you want. A good process here is to look at the talents field to see if it aligns with your own hatches. Even when you finally align the talents, you still have a chance to fail, which is absolutely fucked. Many people express how ridiculous this stage is, yet King Seal refuses to do anything to alleviate how ridiculously tedious it is. You can hatch once every 12 hours and it costs upwards of 60,000 gold. Once you have stats above 250, a pool similar to the original pet that you were hatching with, and the pet that you wanted, you are ready to begin training to mega. Keep in mind that you should hatch this pet at adult when you get there as a precautionary measure should you fail. As I said throughout this video, you still have a fat chance to fail miserably, so it is always good to have a backup just in case. Next, the pet hatching kiosk. For a lot of us it can be very useful. Don't be fooled however, it can get very bad very quickly. A few things I've noticed with the kiosk is that the pet you are hatching with will disappear after a week if you haven't finished hatching with it yet. Also, if the pet you are hatching with is popular, and someone else is hatching with it, sometimes it might not even show up for you. This is why if you have the option to hatch with a friend, I would definitely choose to do that over using the kiosk. Maycast talents such as Maycast Fire are really useful when you want them, because they generally take less hatches to obtain. When you do not want them however, you will see the talent constantly pop out of fucking nowhere. Now that I are aware of the basics, I am going to let you in on a couple of secrets that I've learned. Something you might run into is what's called a sticky talent, which means that no matter how many times you hatch, you will keep seeing the same talent over and over again after every hatch. There are really only a number of talents that stay in the pool and continue to come up, that being any Maycast talent. If you are training a pet and you happen to get a Maycast fairy when you don't want it, I suggest you take a step back and hatch with a different pet. Thank you for watching fellow Wizheads. If you are curious on where to find evil magma peas and couch potatoes outside of the crown shop, I will be uploading that very video in the near future. Stay safe.